Fleet Commander Zorak stared at the holographic projection of the blue planet with what passed for contempt among the Vex Tor species. 3 pairs of compound eyes blinked in sequence as he tapped his primary appendage against the command console. So, this is the famous Earth, he said, mandibles clicking. Doesn't look like much. Science Officer Prell glided forward on her hover pad. Appearances can be deceptive, Commander. Our long-range scans indicate that 71% of the surface is covered in dihydrogen monoxide. Water, translated Zorak with a snort. Just say water, Prell. We are not writing a research paper here. Water, Prell corrected herself, antennae twitching in embarrassment. And according to our intelligence, the humans have barely explored their own oceans. They know more about their moon than their ocean depths. Can you believe that? A species that evolved from aquatic life forms, and they are afraid of their own waters. Zorak's mandibles formed what might generously be called a smile, which makes it perfect for our purposes. The Supreme Overlord wants a foothold on this planet that won't immediately alert the humans to our presence. These oceans are ideal. Strategic Officer Krill, a bulkier specimen of the Vex Tor race with battle scars across his exoskeleton, growled from his station. I still say we should just bombard their major cities from orbit and be done with it. Why all this sneaking around? Zorak swiveled his eye stalks toward Krill. Because my enthusiastic friend, the last 3 species that tried direct confrontation with humans ended up as cautionary tales in our military academies. The Zorgons? Decimated. The Cruel Empire? Humiliated. The Drav Collective? Nobody's heard from them in over 50 cycles. No. Yoha. We are doing this the smart way. The coward's way, muttered Krill. I heard that, and I'm choosing to ignore it, because I'm such a magnificent and forgiving commander, Zorak replied, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Now, let's proceed with Operation Wet Feet. Prell's antennae shot up. Sir, I thought we agreed on Operation Aquatic Dominance. I changed it. Wet Feet sounds funnier. It sounds ridiculous, said Krill. Exactly. The humans will never suspect an invasion plan with such a stupid name. It's tactical brilliance, my friends. Zorak stretched his 4 arms wide in a gesture of self-congratulation. The bridge crew exchanged looks that transcended species barriers, the universal expression of subordinates dealing with a boss who thought they were much cleverer than they actually were. Commence the deployment of our aquatic reconnaissance units, ordered Zorak. I want detailed mapping of Earth's ocean trenches, thermal vents, and any undersea infrastructure the humans have built. We will establish our first base in their deepest ocean trench, the Mariana, I believe it's called. Deployment underway, Commander, responded Navigation Officer Krill's clutchmate, who looked identical except for having slightly more iridescent scales. Stealth field activated. The humans won't detect our approach. Excellent. Within 1 planetary rotation, the oceans of Earth will begin their transition to Vex Tor control. And the humans won't know what hit them until it's too late. Zorak let out what he considered an intimidating laugh, but which sounded more like someone stepping on a squeaky toy. 3 Earth days later, Zorak was significantly less amused. What do you mean we have lost contact with Reconnaissance Team Gamma? He demanded, looming over Trill's console. That's the 3rd team in as many days. Unknown, sir. They were exploring an area the humans call the North Atlantic when their signal simply disappeared. Trill's voice quavered slightly. And Beta team in the Pacific? Also gone, sir. And Alpha team in the Arctic? Their last transmission mentioned a strange cylindrical object approaching before we lost contact. Zorak's exoskeleton paled slightly. Show me the final transmissions from all teams. The main view screen flickered to life, showing grainy footage from the Alpha team's lead scout. Dark waters, illuminated only by the scout's lights, then a massive shadow passing overhead. Something long, black, and ominous. The footage ended abruptly. What in the name of the 7 moons was that? Whispered Zorak. Prell was already analyzing the image. Comparing to known human ocean vessels, sir, I believe that was a human underwater vessel. They call it a submarine. A submarine, Zorak pronounced carefully. And these submarines, they just happened to be patrolling exactly where our teams were exploring? That seems statistically unlikely, admitted Prell. Unless they knew we were coming, finished Krill, suddenly looking interested. Maybe these humans aren't as oblivious as we thought. Zorak paced the bridge, all 6 legs clicking nervously on the metallic floor. Impossible. Our cloaking technology is the most advanced in 7 galaxies. They couldn't possibly detect our ships. Perhaps not our ships, suggested Prell hesitantly. But, Commander, our reconnaissance units are using technology adapted from space to underwater use. It's possible that they emit some signature that human instruments can detect. You are telling me, Zorak said slowly, mandibles quivering with rage, that we, an advanced spacefaring civilization, overlooked something as basic as underwater detection signatures. Prell's entire body seemed to shrink. It's possible, sir. Possible? Roared Zorak. We have lost 3 teams. I'd say it's a bit more than possible. If I may, Commander, interjected Krill with poorly concealed satisfaction, this is why I suggested the direct approach. Now the humans know something is in their waters. They don't know it's us, snapped Zorak. For all they know, it's some oceanic anomaly. As if on cue, the communication console chimed. Sir, said Communication Officer Drex, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. The bridge fell silent. From Earth? Repeated Zorak weakly. As in, the humans are calling us? Yes, sir. They are broadcasting on all frequencies. It appears to be directed specifically at us. Zorak swallowed, his throat sac expanding and contracting rapidly. Put it on screen. The view screen changed to show a human in what appeared to be a military uniform. The creature was distressingly symmetrical, with only 2 eyes, 2 arms, and presumably 2 legs hidden below the visible portion of the screen. It spoke in a calm, measured voice that somehow made it even more terrifying. To the unidentified extraterrestrial vessels currently operating in Earth's oceans, we have detected your presence. Your reconnaissance devices have been neutralized. Consider this your only warning. Earth's waters are protected. Leave immediately. Or face consequences. We are prepared to defend our planet. The transmission ended. For several long moments, nobody on the bridge spoke. Finally, Zorak broke the silence. Well, that's not ideal. Krill barked out a laugh. Not ideal? They have detected us, destroyed our recon teams, and now they are threatening us. This mission is a disaster. It's a setback, corrected Zorak, trying to maintain his authority. A minor setback. With all due respect, Commander, said Prell, this indicates the humans have underwater detection and defense capabilities far beyond what our intelligence suggested. Zorak's mind raced. Failure was not an option. The Supreme Overlord did not tolerate failure. We need more information. We need to understand these submarines, their capabilities, their weaknesses. And how do you propose we do that? Asked Krill skeptically. Our reconnaissance teams keep disappearing. A slow, dangerous smile spread across Zorak's face. We make them come to us. Captain Eleanor Jackson of the USS Barracuda, one of America's newest Virginia-class attack submarines, studied the sonar readings with growing concern. What do you make of it, Torres? She asked her executive officer. Lieutenant Commander Maria Torres frowned at the display. It doesn't match any known signature, Captain. Too big for a whale, too irregular for another sub. And it's sitting right on the edge of the Marianas Trench, almost 7 miles down, deeper than our crush depth, muttered Jackson. Inconvenient. The Russians don't have anything that can go that deep. Neither do the Chinese, said Torres. And it appeared literally overnight. Nothing was there on yesterday's satellite pass. Aliens, stated Chief Sonar Operator Alan Powell matter-of-factly from his station. Jackson raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me, Chief." "Aliens, ma'am," repeated Powell without a hint of humor. "First those weird drone things we have been picking off, now this. Gotta be aliens." Under normal circumstances, Jackson would have dismissed such talk. But these weren't normal circumstances. The mysterious underwater drones with impossible technology. The unidentified signatures appearing in oceans worldwide. The message from Fleet Command confirming that similar objects had been detected by submarines of multiple nations, all within the same 48-hour period. "Whether it's aliens or something else," Jackson said carefully, "our orders are to observe and report. We are not to engage unless threatened." "And if they can detect us before we can detect them?" asked Torres quietly. Jackson had no answer for that. Back on the Vex-Tor command ship, Zorak was feeling pleased with himself. "The trap is set," he announced. "Our decoy base will draw their submarines in for closer investigation. Once within range, we will capture one of their vessels, study their technology, and learn how they detected our reconnaissance teams." "Assuming they take the bait," said Krill. "Oh, they will," Zorak assured him. "Curiosity is one of their primary weaknesses as a species. They simply can't help themselves." "The decoy is emitting the signature you specified, Commander," reported Trill. "It appears to be working. We have detected 3 different human submarines approaching the Mariana Trench area." "Only 3? Zorak seemed disappointed. "I was hoping for more." "3 is plenty," growled Krill. "My combat teams are ready to deploy as soon as the humans are in position." Prell looked nervous. "Commander, I feel obligated to point out that we still know very little about these submarine vessels. Our intelligence indicates they may be armed with weapons called torpedoes and possibly nuclear devices." "Nuclear?" Zorak's antennae perked up. "These primitives have nuclear weapons on their underwater vessels?" "Yes, Commander. Quite powerful ones." Zorak waved a dismissive appendage. "No matter. Our shields can handle primitive nuclear explosions." Proceed with the operation. Captain Jackson didn't like this one bit. The Barracuda was maintaining position at 3,000 feet, observing the mysterious object from a safe distance. 2 other submarines, 1 British, 1 Japanese, were also in the vicinity, maintaining radio silence except for encrypted burst transmissions to their respective commands. "Anything new, Powell?" she asked. "No change in the target, Captain," replied the sonar operator. "Still just sitting there at the edge of the trench." But he hesitated. "Speak freely, Chief." "There's something else, ma'am. Very faint readings at the edge of our detection range. Could be nothing, could be sensor ghosts, but—" "But you don't think so," finished Jackson. "No, ma'am. I think we are being watched." Jackson considered this. "Mr. Reyes, bring us up to 2,000 feet. I want a little more breathing room." "Aye, Captain," responded the pilot, adjusting their depth. Torres leaned close to Jackson and spoke quietly. "You think it's a trap?" "I think if I were fishing for submarines, this is exactly how I'd do it," replied Jackson. "Angle something interesting and wait. Con sonar." Powell's voice was suddenly urgent. "Multiple contacts. Fast movers, approaching from all directions. Battle stations." Ordered Jackson immediately. "Helm, emergency dive. Get us under the thermocline." The submarine tilted downward sharply as alarms blared throughout the vessel. "Weapons, standby tubes 1 through 4, Jackson commanded. The captain called out the communications officer, encrypted flash from the Dauntless. "They are under attack. Some kind of energy weapons?" "Energy weapons?" repeated Torres in disbelief. Before Jackson could respond, the Barracuda shuddered violently. "We are hit. Reported damage control. Unknown weapon type. Hull integrity holding, but we are experiencing electrical fluctuations." "Sonar is going crazy, Captain," shouted Powell over the alarms. "I have got at least a dozen contacts, like nothing I have ever seen before. They are surrounding us." Jackson gripped the command console tightly. Countermeasures. Fire off the noisemakers. Helm, evasive pattern delta. The submarine banked hard to port, launching acoustic decoys designed to confuse torpedo targeting systems. But whatever was attacking them wasn't using torpedoes. Second hit. Announced damage control. We are losing power to the starboard side. Captain, said Torres urgently, we need to. Her words were cut off as the lights flickered and died, plunging the command center into darkness. Emergency lighting kicked in seconds later, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. Status report. Demanded Jackson. Main power down. Propulsion offline. Weapons systems not responding, reported Torres, reading from the emergency displays. We are dead in the water, Captain. Jackson felt the submarine begin to move, despite their engines being offline. We are rising? Questioned Reyes in confusion, staring at the depth gauge. No, said Jackson grimly. We are being taken. Zorak could barely contain his excitement as he watched the human submarine being towed into the massive underwater hangar of their newly deployed capture vessel. Magnificent, he exclaimed. Look at the primitive beauty of it. All that metal, those crude propellers, the quaint little weapons tubes. It's like looking at an antique that detected our reconnaissance teams and responded with impressive coordination, reminded Prell. We shouldn't underestimate them. Nonsense. We have captured their vessel with minimal effort. Their weapons couldn't penetrate our shields. They are helpless. Krill stepped forward, combat teams assembled behind him. We are ready to board the human vessel, Commander. Excellent. Remember, we want prisoners for interrogation. Try not to kill all of them. No promises, rumbled Krill, checking his shock rifle. Zorak turned to Prell. Begin scanning their vessel. I want to know everything about how it works, especially their detection systems. Already in progress, Commander. Preliminary results are interesting. Interesting how? Their technology is indeed primitive compared to ours, but extremely refined within its limitations. They have optimized their sonar systems to a remarkable degree. And there's something else. Prell's voice trailed off as she studied the readings. What? What is it? Demanded Zorak. Sir, I'm detecting a significant energy source within their vessel, consistent with a self-destruct mechanism. Zorak's antennae shot up in alarm. They would destroy themselves? The readings suggest they have protocols to scuttle their vessel rather than allow it to be captured. Well, that's just rude, muttered Zorak. Krill, change of plans. Have your teams locate and disable any self-destruct systems immediately upon boarding. Krill nodded and relayed the orders to his assault teams. As Zorak watched the boarding preparations, a small voice in the back of his mind wondered if perhaps, just perhaps, they had underestimated these humans. But he quickly dismissed the thought. After all, what could a species that hadn't even mastered interstellar travel possibly do against the mighty Vex-Tor Empire? He was about to find out. Captain Eleanor Jackson had seen bad situations before, but being captured by extraterrestrial forces while trapped in a metal tube under thousands of feet of water definitely topped her list. Status report, she commanded, maintaining her composure despite the dire circumstances. Lieutenant Commander Torres consulted the emergency systems. Main power still down. Emergency systems functioning at 60%. Hull integrity stable, but we are definitely being moved. And... She paused, looking at another readout. Something is scanning us. Radiation signatures, unlike anything I have seen before. Weapons? Torpedo systems non-responsive. Small arms locker is intact. Jackson nodded grimly. Get the weapons distributed. Whatever happens next, I want us ready. Captain, interrupted Chief Powell from his station, you should see this. Jackson moved to the sonar station where Powell had rigged a backup system running on emergency power. The display showed they were inside something massive. Some kind of underwater structure, muttered Jackson. Or, the ship, finished Torres. We are inside another vessel. The Barracuda shuddered as it came to rest. Metallic clangs reverberated through the hull. "They are attaching something to our outer hull," reported the damage control officer. "Multiple points of contact." Jackson addressed the command crew. "Listen up. We are about to make first contact with an unknown extraterrestrial species with hostile intent. But remember this, we are still United States Navy. We still have a duty to protect this vessel, its crew, and the technology it contains from falling into hostile hands. Is that clear?" "Crystal clear, Captain," responded Torres, handing her a sidearm. "If they wanted us dead, they could have done it already," Jackson continued. "They want something from us. Information, technology, maybe prisoners. That gives us leverage." A new sound reached them, a high-pitched whine coming from the main hatch. "They are cutting through," said Torres. Jackson raised her weapon. "Let's give our new friends a proper Earth welcome." Krill was enjoying himself immensely. After cycles of boring reconnaissance missions, he finally had a chance for action. His boarding team had attached to the human submarine's outer hull and were cutting through with plasma torches. Remember, he instructed his team, disable any self-destruct systems first, then secure the crew. The commander wants prisoners to interrogate. "What about resistance?" asked one of his soldiers. Krill's mandibles clicked in amusement. "These are primitive beings in a disabled vessel. What resistance could they possibly offer?" The cutting torch finished its work, and the section of hull fell inward with a loud clang. Krill gestured for his point team to enter. The first soldier activated his breathing apparatus. The human's atmosphere was compatible but unpleasantly oxygen-rich for Vextor physiology, and stepped through the breach. A loud bang echoed through the opening, and the soldier stumbled backward, blue fluid leaking from his exoskeleton. "What in the seven moons?" exclaimed Krill. More bangs followed, and another soldier dropped. Krill recognized the sounds now, primitive projectile weapons. The humans were shooting metal slugs at them. "Return fire," ordered Krill, charging his shock rifle. "Stun settings only." He leaned around the opening and fired blindly into the submarine. The shock rifle discharged a pulse of neural disrupting energy designed to incapacitate rather than kill. "Advance," he commanded, and his remaining soldiers surged forward. "Take cover," shouted Jackson as strange energy bolts began flying through the breached hatch. One struck Petty Officer Diaz, who collapsed instantly. "He's alive," called the medic who checked him, "just unconscious." Torres fired another round toward the breach. "Non-lethal weapons. They want us alive." "Lucky us," muttered Jackson. She keyed her emergency comm. "All hands, fall back to secondary defensive positions. Initiate Protocol Omega." Torres glanced sharply at Jackson. "Captain, Protocol Omega is." "I know what it is, Exo. Do it." Torres nodded and began entering a complex code sequence into her emergency console. Jackson continued firing at the breach, where strange, insect-like creatures were attempting to enter. Their bodies were protected by some kind of armor or natural exoskeleton that the bullets merely dented. "All back," she ordered as more energy bolts filled the corridor. The crew retreated deeper into the submarine, using the narrow corridors to their advantage, forcing the alien boarders to come at them one by one. On the command ship, Zorak watched the boarding operation with growing frustration. "What's taking so long?" he demanded. "It's one primitive vessel." Prell looked up from her scanner. "The humans are putting up significant resistance, Commander. And the interior of their vessel is quite confined, negating our numerical advantage." Excuses. Krill should have pacified them by now. "Commander," interrupted Trill from the navigation station, "I'm detecting multiple new contacts approaching our position." "More submarines?" "No, sir. These are smaller, faster, and there are dozens of them." Zorak blinked his compound eyes in confusion. "Show me." The view screen displayed a swarm of torpedo-shaped objects racing through the water toward their position. "What are those?" demanded Zorak. Prell analyzed the readings. They appear to be some kind of autonomous underwater vehicles. Drones, essentially. Primitive drones pose no threat to our shields, dismissed Zorak. Sir, pressed Prel. They are accelerating to attack velocity, and they are carrying explosive payloads. Before Zorak could respond, the first wave of human underwater drones slammed into their outer shields. The command ship shuddered. Shield status, barked Zorak. Holding at 87%, reported the defense officer. But there are more incoming. Launch countermeasures. Power up the main engines. I want us away from this position immediately. Inside the captured submarine, Krill and his boarding team were making slow progress. The humans had barricaded themselves in various compartments, forcing the Vextor soldiers to clear each section methodically. "This is taking too long," growled Krill. "Use the neural gas." His technician attached a canister to the submarine's ventilation system. "Gas deploying, sir. The humans should be unconscious within moments." Krill's communicator buzzed. "Boarding team, this is command. Return to the ship immediately. We are under attack." "Negative," replied Krill. "We have almost secured the human vessel." "That's an order. We are disengaging in 2 minutes with or without you." The submarine lurched suddenly, throwing Krill against a bulkhead. "What was that?" he demanded. His scanner operator looked up in alarm. "The human vessel. It's powering up." "Impossible. We disabled their systems." In the submarine's engine room, Torres completed the final sequence of Protocol Omega, the hidden restart protocol designed for exactly this scenario. Submarine technology was too valuable to allow capture, and too dangerous to self-destruct in ocean waters. Protocol Omega was the compromise, a complete systems reset followed by an automated counter-offensive. "Systems rebooting," she announced as the lights flickered back to life. "Weapons coming online. Hull breach sealed by emergency bulkheads." Jackson nodded in satisfaction. "Notify all compartments. Prepare for emergency ascent and counterattack." Zorak was now genuinely alarmed. The swarm of human drones had reduced their shields to 40%, and now the captured submarine was somehow regaining power. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They are supposed to be primitives." "Sir," reported Trill urgently, "we are detecting additional contacts. Larger vessels, approaching rapidly from multiple directions." "More submarines?" "No, Commander. Surface vessels. Human warships." Zorak stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Dozens of human naval vessels were converging on their position, launched from bases all around the Pacific. "They were waiting for us," he realized aloud. "This whole time they were tracking us, studying us. The submarines were just scouts." "Commander," pleaded Prel, "we must retreat immediately. Our mission is compromised." For once, Zorak didn't argue. "Recall all teams. Prepare for emergency ascent." Inside the Barracuda, Jackson felt the alien ship begin to move. "They are trying to escape," she noted. "Not on my watch." "Weapons officer, status of torpedo tubes. Tubes 1 through 4 operational, Captain. Target the alien vessel's propulsion systems and fire." 4 Mark 48 torpedoes shot from the submarine's tubes, streaking toward the alien ship's engines. "Incoming projectiles," shouted the Vextor defense officer. "Evasive maneuvers," ordered Zorak. The massive alien vessel attempted to turn, but it was too large to maneuver quickly underwater. The torpedoes struck their engines in rapid succession. The command bridge shook violently. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks. Engine 3 destroyed. "Engines 1 and 4 damaged," reported the engineering officer. "We are losing propulsion." Zorak clung to his command chair as the ship listed to one side. "Get us to the surface. We can still escape to orbit." "Sir, the boarding team—" "Leave them. That's an order." Krill realized too late that they'd been abandoned. "Bien." His communicator went dead as the command ship began its desperate ascent, leaving him and his team trapped aboard the now fully operational human submarine. And worse, the neural gas wasn't working. The humans had somehow sealed their ventilation systems. "All back to the entry point," he ordered his remaining soldiers. "We will cut our way out." But as they turned to retreat, they found their path blocked. Captain Jackson stood at the end of the corridor, flanked by armed crew members. "Going somewhere?" she asked, almost pleasantly. Krill raised his shock rifle. "Stay back, human." Jackson didn't flinch. "You are on my boat, in my ocean, on my planet. I suggest you surrender." "Vextor warriors do not surrender." "That's a shame," said Jackson, pressing a button on the wall console beside her. "It's because neither do we." Emergency bulkheads slammed shut behind Krill, trapping his team in the corridor section. "What is this?" demanded Krill. "This," replied Jackson calmly, "is what we call checkmate." The Vextor command ship broke the ocean's surface in a massive explosion of water, listing heavily to one side. Its once sleek hull was now pockmarked with torpedo damage. On the bridge, Zorak was frantically trying to salvage the situation. "Status of orbital engines? Operational, Commander. But we need 2 minutes to reconfigure from underwater mode." "We don't have 2 minutes. Look." The view screen showed dozens of human aircraft approaching rapidly, launched from the nearby warships and aircraft carriers. "Incoming projectiles," warned the defense officer. "Hundreds of them." "Shields?" "Down to 12%. Zorak slumped in his command chair. "The Supreme Overlord is going to have my antennae for this." The first missile struck the ship's hull, penetrating the weakened shields. Explosions rippled across the vessel's surface. "Commander," said Prell quietly, "I suggest we transmit the emergency surrender code." "Surrender? To primitives?" Zorak seemed genuinely shocked by the suggestion. Another explosion rocked the ship, larger than the previous ones. "A hull breach on decks 4 through 7, reported the damage control officer. "We are taking on water." Zorak looked around at his bridge crew, seeing the fear in their compound eyes. He had led them into this disaster with his arrogance and underestimation of the human species. "Transmit the surrender code," he said finally. "All frequencies." Admiral Victor Martinez watched from the bridge of the USS Nimitz as the alien vessel raised its equivalent of a white flag, powering down its remaining weapons and engines. "Well, I will be damned," he muttered. "They actually surrendered." "Orders, Admiral?" asked his XO. Martinez considered for a moment. "Maintain position. Keep weapons locked on target. And get me the President." 1 week later, Captain Jackson stood in a secure facility deep beneath the Pentagon, watching through one-way glass as scientists attempted to communicate with the captured alien commander. "How's it going?" she asked the lead xenolinguist. Dr. Patel smiled tiredly. "Better than expected. Their translation technology is helping. The one called Zorak is quite talkative." "Anything useful?" "Very. They are called the Vextor, from a star system about 60 light-years away. According to him, they have conquered 12 other worlds. But not Earth," noted Jackson with satisfaction. "No, not Earth. He's actually been quite forthcoming about their technology, their empire, everything. Almost like he's impressed by us." Jackson watched the alien gesticulating with his 4 arms, explaining something to the scientists. "What's he saying now?" Dr. Patel listened to her earpiece. "He's explaining why they targeted our oceans first. Apparently their intelligence suggested we had barely explored our own waters and would be vulnerable there." Jackson laughed. "That was their first mistake. The oceans have been our battleground for over a century. We have been playing cat and mouse with submarines since World War I. We have mastered the art of hunting what you can't see." "He understands that now," said Patel. "He keeps using a phrase our translators render as the silent hunters. I think he means submarines. What about the rest of their fleet? Are there more ships coming?" "That's the good news. This was just an advance force, a single command ship with support vessels. The main invasion fleet was waiting for their signal to proceed. When they surrendered instead," Patel smiled. Let's just say the supreme overlord of the Vextor Empire has cancelled the invasion of Earth for the foreseeable future. Jackson nodded in satisfaction. Smart decision. Behind the glass, Zorak was drawing something that looked like a submarine, but with modifications. The scientists were taking notes excitedly. "What's he doing now?" asked Jackson. "Offering suggestions for improving our submarine technology, believe it or not," replied Patel. "He says it's the least he can do after, and I quote, the most humiliating defeat of his military career." Jackson smiled. "Tell him we appreciate the input, but our submarines seem to be working just fine as they are." "I will pass that along, Captain." As Jackson turned to leave, she paused at the door. "One more thing, Doctor. Make sure he understands something important." "But what's that?" "Yeah. The oceans are just the beginning. If his empire ever thinks about coming back, they should know space is just another ocean to us, and we are very, very good at hunting in the dark." Dr. Patel nodded, a slight smile on her face. "I will make sure he gets the message, Captain." Jackson took one last look at the alien commander who had so badly underestimated humanity. Zorak seemed to sense her presence, turning his compound eyes toward the one-way glass. For a moment, despite the impossibility of him seeing her, Jackson felt their eyes meet. She gave a small nod, one hunter acknowledging another before turning and walking away. Behind her, humanity's first alien prisoner continued explaining to Earth's scientists exactly why his empire would never, ever attempt to invade the blue planet again. Some lessons, it seemed, transcended the stars themselves.